Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be going over Lucia because it seems like you just got her in Global. So Lucia is a Thunder Magic Meister, and we're going to be going over why that's good, because you might be thinking to yourself, well, Magic Meisters have light attacks, why would I want that on a Thunder unit? Well, that's because of the job enchantment she gets. So as you can see, I know you can't read this, but this is her Magic Meister kit, and it has Thunder attacks. And basically, her job enchantment gives her Thunder attacks, which are just Thunder renditions of attacks she already had, and this is going to let her hit on Element, which is going to be super important. So let's go ahead and take a look at her Kaigan. So Lucia is a 5/5/3 Kaigan, and the reason we go 5/5/3 is because, of course, for Gate 1, the extra stats, but Gate 2 is going to actually upgrade her HP and Dark Resistance passive to give her 20% HP, 20 Dark Resistance, and 30 Missile Attack Power. Now that Missile Attack Power is going to give her a lot of upfront damage that Magic Meisters don't always have, and that'll also help scale with her Overdrive. And by having that, it'll allow her to be a larger impact on the map earlier, and it's generally considered this is one of the better ways to run her. Now, that does not necessarily mean that the Magic Meister Snowball is worthless on her, though. This is definitely a lot better on shorter maps when you can't get the Snowball going, but every once in a while, you do get a longer map, or maybe a map that you want to solo with her, in which case you would switch this out for the Snowball instead. Now, we already know why we put 3 into Gate 3, so if you don't know it by now, I suggest looking at previous videos. Anyways, so as you can see, I'm rocking the OG skin, which I do quite adore. This is actually the first OG skin I bought in Japan, and I think it does her artwork justice. So let's go ahead and take a look at her Nenso, because she does have her own Nenso. The base stat on it is Magic Attack, which is nice, because obviously she uses Magic Attack. But the Greed Dyke group skill is part of what makes her so great. So this is strong versus water. And this is important for a couple reasons. Greed Dyke has a lot of Thunder units in it. The new unit, Kuiana, Mayfawn, Orion, and even Lucia herself. So this is going to be very beneficial, quite like the Eurus Nenso is. And I've explained why this is a good stat to have on a Nenso before. So for the second group here, this appears to be a... What is this group? Okay, so this is a select group of units from the... Actually, no, it's female Greed Dyke units. Duh. Anyways, so female Greed Dyke units will benefit from extra dex in this case, and it can be triggered by any of them, and obviously this is good because she uses dex. I can't really see many of the other Greed Dyke female units using it, but whatever. It's still good for Lucia herself. And for the last group here, this is actually going to be a Lucia trigger, but she's... Oh, never mind, she does get the buff. It's a Lucia trigger, but it's a Mayfawn and Lucia receiving the buff. And this is a Magic Attack, Water Resistance, and the last one you don't really need to understand. It's strong versus snow. It has to do with one of the raids, and it's not very important. Basically, it's water resist and magic attack. And Mayfawn benefits a little bit from the water resist, but not so much from the magic attack. But if you max limit break it, you are also going to get an additional 16 single target attack, which Mayfawn can benefit from, as well as Lucia. But I am not nearly well enough to max limit break this, unfortunately. So there is that. Now, any tact is going to do on her, and if you don't have a tact, there is another thing that you can equip, which I've showed you before, and I'll show you again in a moment, because they really have... Okay, so they changed the UI around a little bit recently, so I'm still getting used to the new AI. Or UI, I mean. So, this is the Aisha VCR tact, and it has 50 magic attack, 30 dex, 10 jewel, I believe that's jewel gain, and 12, I believe, is single target attack modifier. So this is really, really good, and I think best in slot on any Magic Meister. But the 4-star tact works just as well, and if you can't get your hands on either of those, you could always use this, which is the free equipment or gear that you get from Freikugel's POTK quest, it's pretty easy to get, has 30 magic attack and 5 missile modifier, and the missile modifier helps keep it up on par with the other attacks, although obviously it's not nearly as good as the Aisha VCR. And the Aisha VCR actually comes with its own extra attack, which will give her more attack uses, and that's always great. So I prefer to use the regen armor on her in almost all scenarios because she has to get up close and personal to get her jewels. So having some regen is great. And since she has access to pain control, that means it's going to be hard to kill her with physical attacks. And this is the VCR from her Nenso. And it's a pretty nice VCR. It's got 10 missile attack, 50 stop resistance, and 12 agility. And 12 agility is obviously really good because there aren't very many pieces of gear that have more than 10. And the 10 missile modifier obviously is going to help her. But this also can actually help Mayfawn, because Mayfawn, when she switches to her own VCR, is not going to have access to the speed that was on the Roaring Slash. So instead, Mayfawn would equip this most likely, and then benefit from the extra 10 missile damage with her Burial Shot. Now, you don't have to use this, but it's always a good thing to have. Now, what makes this absolutely busted on Lucia is it decreases her jewel spent rate by 50% for the first 3 turns. So for the first 3 turns of any map, all of her skills are going to cost 1/2 of the amount of jewels they normally do. And you'll see that when I take her into the map, it's great. Because it's going to let her nuke right away, she can charge up right away, she can do basically whatever she wants for the first 3 turns, before she actually has to pay the consequences for doing so. Now, as for her loadout, as I've alluded to before, you're going to want to be running the upgraded Kaigan passive unless you absolutely need the snowball, along with overdrive. You're going to want to run the main and the sub for her Magic Meister, as well as pain control, the reactive for Magic Meister. I suppose you could make the case to run I believe it's called Wild Child, the speed passive off of the Beastmaster, but that is super, super niche, and I would not count on ever using that. That's like if you need her to hit something turn 1 and kill it immediately. Otherwise, don't even think about it. As for in Global, she obviously is going to have access to the Battlefield Drama, which will make a very, very good substitute for a tact if you cannot get one and you don't have the Freakagul gear. And honestly, that might even be your best option. It might be better than the Freakagul gear in general because it does have that extra jewel gain. As far as the Wanderer's Hat goes, I actually do not think it's going to be very good on her, and this is why. So, she's definitely going to be able to attack turn 1 if she uses the Wanderer's Hat. That is without a doubt. She will be able to get, I think she should be able to charge up and AoE turn 1 with the Wanderer's Hat. However, in Global, you're going to have to deal with the fact that she has the Snowball. And oftentimes, the Magia Controller charge up isn't enough to get KOs, especially early. So, that extra, I just don't feel like she benefit from the extra tempo right off the bat as much as if you stuff more power or survivability onto her. Because I'm going to assume most everyone's going to have her at 2 gear slots because she'll be 75 for most people who are going to actively use her. She's going to want an attack item because she desperately wants to get her base stats up so she can get the snowball started. And she's going to need good HP gear. And regen armor is far superior because remember, she's going to have to collect a lot of jewels because her skills have very high jewel counts. Especially because you don't have her VCR anytime soon. So, that's my 2 cents on it. I'm not saying it is a bad idea to run the Wanderer's Hat. I'm just saying I just don't think it is the best use. Unless, of course, there is a situation in which her charging up and AoEing turn 1 is the correct solution. In which case, more power to you. That's definitely the best option in that particular scenario. So, let's hop into the map here. Now, I am going to be running a Mayfawn lead today. And the reason I'm running Mayfawn as my leader is... Whoops, let me turn skill animations back on. Is because normally I'd be running Mayfawn as a leader in general. But because the two of them actually work super well together. And I should pull this up real quick, actually. so I can see the Mayfawn Nenso stats, because the Mayfawn Nenso is, I never went over this in my original Mayfawn video because I didn't have it. But now that I do have it, I have the benefit of being able to go over its stats. So the base stats on the Mayfawn Nenso is physical attack, and it's going to give Greed Dyke units, in this case 258 extra HP. The next set of HP bonus that you see, because you see there's two of them, this is actually, the 323 is for Halloween units, which unfortunately Lucia is not a part of, but Magnus is, so if you want to run them together, you can get a good HP bonus onto Magnus that way. And for the next group, you have, it looks like it's actually just Mayfawn in this group, and it is going to be Pierce and Slash resistance, and at max limit break, an additional 60 physical attack. And one of the reasons that I wanted to put out that the Mayfawn Nenso and VCR are so great is because Mayfawn doesn't actually have any thunder attacks in her normal kit. Instead, her thunder attack is based off of her vision ability, and that's actually it. So she has her vision ability, and that only that can benefit from the Lucia Nenso, but that's something that she benefits from the Lucia Nenso for having. And it's kind of unfortunate that that is the case, but it is. So basically the reason we run them together is Mayfawn brings the HP and Lucia brings a little bit of extra damage to the mix. They work very well together, and I have heard that if you add Orion into the mix, things get even better because he's also a Thunder Greed Dyke unit. And if you bring Kuiana into the mix, then all of a sudden you have the makings of an absolutely devastating Thunder Greed Dyke team. So let's go take a look at her. So actually, I can just, now that I think about it, since she has half of her jewel cost, so we'll just quick go down here and see. As you can see, just 30 jewels for her single target nukes, her AoE. This is one of the major differences, is, as you can see, the AoE actually extends another diagonal out from where it was. But other than that, not much else has changed. So let's go ahead and double dip, because she can double dip right away. And we'll leave Mayfawn back here. And let's go ahead and take a look at her damage. So if we're taking a look at her single target, about 14,000 damage. So mind you, I'm running a 50-20 leader skill. Lucia herself, it's actually not a bad idea to 5-5-5 her, because she gets a 40% magic attack, 20% all damage leader skill, if I remember correctly, which would allow her to do significantly more damage. The problem with that leader skill is it doesn't provide any HP, which means you'll lack survivability on the map. But it is a trade-off. She'd be able to do significantly more damage than what I'm showing you right now. And something else fell, and I don't know what it is. Freaking cats. Anyways, so yeah, 14k on a single target, sign me up. Now, if we take a look, this is the skill that is the extra skill from Aisha's VCR, and it's about 10k, which is another just really high damage attack. And remember, I did double dip before these, but she has 4 double dips, and I'm actually surprised. I thought that was 3. She must have gotten a, she must have a skill use up somewhere. Not sure where. I could check that out a bit later. She still does have access to the single target like nuke, as well as the AoE, which obviously isn't going to hit nearly as hard. I'm not going to show off the thunder attack just because it doesn't look any different, or at least the single target thunder attack. Instead, I'm going to show off this AoE, because you unfortunately cannot see how much the AoE does. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And it looks pretty much the same, just with yellow particle effects, and it does a lot of damage. Now, one thing I did want to mention is, if I remember correctly, the thunder attacks do extra damage to machines. So, I don't know if anyone's noticed this, but it feels like a lot of thunder units have machine-based damage. I mean, we've got Mayfawn, we have Lucia. What could it possibly be that we would have thunder attacks do extra damage to machines? Could Gumi actually be thinking with their head for a change? Just a thought. Anyways, I will also go ahead and quick show off the attack from the Aisha VCR, which once again is nothing super special, although the Magia controller animations always will have a special place in my heart, because when I started out, I had no forecasters, but I had all of the Magia controllers, or I guess Magic Meisters, that you could get your hands on. I had Nina, I had Aisha, I had Lucia. The only one I didn't have was Ira, pretty much. And I would just spam them into maps and win maps that way for the longest time when I was starting out. In fact, Aisha and Nina are probably the reason I cleared floor 98 in Vita. So anyways, that is really the gist of Lucia. You already know how the rest of the Magia controller kit works. Nothing else has really changed. The only difference is she is not a light unit. She is a thunder unit. But this works out pretty well, actually, because a lot of the thunder teams are going to be running 50-20 leader skills, which means that she's always going to benefit because despite being a magic scaling unit and doing physical attack damage, a 50-20 leader skill is for mixed teams. So it doesn't matter if you're magic attack or physical attack, 50-20 leader skills, okay, they're great. But yeah, that is pretty much what I have to say on Lucia. She is a great unit to have. Now, the question is, should you chase her? And the answer is pretty much always going to be, when it comes to a non-limited unit, is you will get her eventually. That it's just that plain and simple. As long as if you keep playing the game, you will get Lucia eventually. The question is do you want her sooner rather than later? And honestly, she's probably one of the better Thunder units that you're going to have in your pool for quite some time. A lot of the Thunder units fell off really hard as time passed in Japan because a lot of them got their Kaigans very late, including Lucia. However, the one major difference between Japan and Global is Roxy. And remember that Lucia uses missile attacks and Roxy's leader skill boosts missile attacks. Not to mention they can be used in the same team, so later on when you will have mono element teams, these two units are probably going to work very well together. Now they are definitely not from the same region, so they can't boost each other with Nensos per se, but who knows, maybe if you're really lucky, Global will put it so that way the Halloween portion of the, I guess that actually does, well actually no, it could matter. The Halloween portion of the Mayfawn Nenso might matter, and you could put Mayfawn, Lucia, and Roxy into the same team, and Roxy might be able to benefit from the Halloween portion. Now, I highly doubt that because she's not part of any of the storylines, but they did give her a Halloween skin, so who knows. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening as always, and I got one more video I want to get done today. I hope to see you then.